the start of a new era of anime.
And here it is, the first Korean webcomic adaptation that we must all support so they can make even more Korean webcomic adaptations. Consume product and be excited for next products. Since it counts as a shonen, I will use my list of 8 elements of a perfect shonen for evaluating if it has a future.
Tower of God is trending today. This just makes me incredibly happy.
The Tower of God, oh my God!
Number 1. The protagonist needs to be a victimized fake underdog. Check. The world is being unfair to him, he lost the love of his life, and he appears to be weak when in reality he's super special, and everyone around him loves him right away and constantly plot armors him. Just in the first episode alone, he got saved a dozen times, just because he's the main character. Is it lazy writing that makes the hero not being worthy of his victories? Yes, but it's a shonen. People watch it for the illusion of deserving to win, even if they cheat all the way to the top.
The start of a new era of anime has officially begun.
This felt so refreshing and different.
Number 2. The setup of the story must play out like a coming-of-age sports story. Check. He wants to be a god, he has a love interest, he has mentors, although they are closer to indirect guides so far, and he has rivals who are after the same thing he wants.
Tower of God is the equivalent of One Piece.
This is what Sword Art Online should have been.
Number 3. There have to be dozens of peers who are training along with the protagonist. Check. There is no actual training as of yet, but they sure didn't miss any time introducing the support cast.
It's also reminiscent of SAO.
Sword Art Online, especially the Aincrad version, kinda done right.
Number 4. Tournament Arc! Check. It's closer to a death game, but for an introductory episode, it's there for giving every important character the spotlight.
I think if you're a fan of Bleach, etc., and you like those details, you're probably gonna have a fun time with that one.
It's everything that I hoped for. Again, and I had very low expectations.
Number 5. The pilot of the series must have something shocking. Check. The plot jumps around like crazy and a lot of weird shit keep happening that are enough to attract most shonen fans. Obviously, narrative-wise it's a complete mess, but it's a shonen. Nobody watches it for the good writing.
Spectacular start to this new season of anime.
This anime could potentially be anime of the year.
Number 6. You must have constant emotional reminders of what every character aspires to do. Check. The protagonist can speak 2 sentences without yelling, he wants to find his waifu. Is it annoying and makes him one-dimensional? Yes, but it's a shonen. People watch it to see guys chasing after their dreams and not thinking of anything else.
This is honestly the start of something really big that is going to make waves within the anime industry.
I'm seeing Tower of God potentially having the distance to be something huge and continue on.
Number 7. There has to be a power system. Fail. Everyone is using superpowers, but they don't seem to be following any specific rules. They bend however it suits the plot, and they are so fucking broken. They already summon wish-granting spirits and teleport around like crazy. That makes every fight to be completely random.
Great first episode, and I'm excited to finally talk about episode 2 when it airs. It's gonna be good. It really is. I'm excited for that one.
I see Tower of God going the distance, baby. I am so excited about this one.
And number 8, there has to be a feel of adventure and discovery. Check. It's literally going up a tower that has many different levels. Not sure how much exploration there is going to be so far, but I give it a pass for now. So right off the bat we got 7 out of 8 elements done right. A great start for a shonen that not many are going to care about because it's based on a Korean webcomic. And the plot is a complete mess. Many are going to give up on it because it jumps around like crazy without letting you get to know something or someone for more than a few seconds. And the main character has no personality, he's just a boy scout. Hell, he doesn't even have a backdrop because he has amnesia. He's left blank so anyone can self-insert easier. And even the webcomic readers agree that it becomes trash from a point on. So don't get invested. None of you will give a shit about it by the time the next Sword Art Online episode comes out. So fuck this anime. Don't bother. Watch Retro.
The start of a new era of anime.
The second episode is out, which according to the fanboys will magically make us like the show now by being 10 times better and making more sense. Starting with how the cliffhanger of the first episode implied an epic battle is coming up. We waited a whole week to see how the White Toast MC is going to survive, only to find out there was no battle. They fooled around and then the MC survived because they sensed he was special, aka the protagonist, so he has to survive or we won't have a show. As expected, the fanboys fanboys used their mental gymnastics for making up shit that make no sense. They said the test was about teamwork and the show did an amazing job at showing it. And by amazing job they mean killing each other without teamwork and then being forced to team up with each other by jumping onto someone and claiming they are now friends, even if the other guy doesn't want to be your friend. That's what teamwork is all about. Then half the episode is wasted on them sitting down and info dumping a lot of boring bullshit while there was nothing going on to make them significant or even reliable. Then the fanboys told me to stop watching it because every episode is going to be full of boring info dumps, and this shit is supposed to be the beginning of a new era for anime. Then we find out the previous mission of killing each other and becoming friends was completely pointless because they have to pass a magic barrier by complete chance. There is no skill attached to it, so there was no point in taking out the weak, and there is even less point in using teamwork when everyone needs to pass through pure luck. Then the fanboys say there is no luck despite the floor master openly saying there is. It's a lie and they pass with something that will be explained after 500 episodes. Keep watching so you'll get your answers to questions you don't care about because the show is garbage. Then the main character passes the test that is not supposed to be based on luck without trying. No skill was used, no tactics, nothing smart, and above all teamwork had nothing to do with it. And the floor master keeps saying it was pure luck. But the fanboys don't want you to accept what you see with your very eyes and insist it's not luck. The MC passed the test with a special power called being the protagonist, therefore you need to win all the time without trying. And if that didn't make any sense, it's because you need to keep watching until they explain what happened, only to be proven wrong because they lie about the explanation you were supposed to get. And that is what the best show of the season is all about, sitting down and info-dumping bullshit that are proven to be lies, therefore a waste of time, and seeing the main character passing every test without even trying, because he's a main character and therefore he wins all the time. Exceptional writing, and if you don't like it, the fanboys are gonna call you stupid!
The start of a new era of anime.
And here comes episode 3, which according to the fanboys is bad only if you want it to be bad. As long as you want it to be good, then the bad pacing, the lack of tension, the boring main character, the win-everything luck skill, and the bonkers tournament are not a problem. As long as you convince yourself Tower of God is good, then critical thinking has nothing to do with it. 400 IQ intelligence. The episode was about passing a test, which is the exact same thing as in any other episode. That's the entire plot of Tower of God, passing tests. It really is exactly like One Piece. And now here is the super exciting test that we all been waiting a whole week for. One guy tips them that the time limit for passing is 5 minutes. Then the examiner says they have to open the right door. There is no clue as to which door is the right one, and all doors are identical. The MC passes with his luck skill as usual, by trusting his teammates' instinct. And then the tracksuit guy, the only one who uses his brains instead of broken powers, and is therefore the best character in the show, figures it out. All they have to do is open any door within 5 minutes. And that was the exciting test we were all waiting a whole week for. Now all you have to do is convince yourselves that it was very smart and therefore the Tower of God is exactly like Bleach. But wait, there is more. The incompetent writer of this stupid comic realized that there is no tension in the test, since there is no threat when all they have to do is open a door. So he had the brilliant idea of having the Killua knockoff losing his shit by thinking about his girlfriend, who is also his sister. Yes, incest, baby. That's what makes the show as good as Hunter x Hunter. By the way, this part could have been removed entirely and it wouldn't make a difference, but it had to be added so there will be something going on other than opening a door. Whoa, what a brilliant episode. Only those who don't want to like it won't like it. 400 IQ intelligence.
The start of a new era of anime.
Holy crap, 2 episodes were wasted on a dumb test that came down to a bunch of people fighting each other. There were all these rules that made it sound like it was sophisticated and would require a lot of brains to get through. And it all came down to a generic tournament arc where people are fighting each other until one team remains. The show is constantly trying to sound smart in order to fool the watcher to think he's watching something smart, but down to it it's a run-of-the-mill fighting shonen.
That was pathetic.
And if you think it's going to be different here on, it won't, because the very readers of the webcomic admit that every test has a dozen rules which don't matter in the long run. It always comes down to who is the strongest, nothing else matters.
Screw the rules.
Kun tricks people with a fake crown. What was the point of that scene when they all attack him anyways and Rock defeats them all with a single hit? He could have just one-punched them all from the very start. And then there is Rachel's team, which defeated everybody during the first test. In effect, skipping 200 tests because there is no competition. How did they do that? Were they the smartest? No, they were the strongest and defeated everybody right away. This is why every test is ultimately a waste of time, and by extension the entire series is a waste of time. They could simply have a typical battle royale on the first level and nothing would change. The strongest would be the last remaining ones, they would become rankers, and that would be the end of the show.
Climb the tower, idiot.
And for yet another time the main character did absolutely nothing. He sat on a chair and was just looking at everybody fighting. He doesn't have to fight because he wins all the time with his luck skill. The moment someone attacks him, some magic aura comes out of nowhere and defeats him without the main character having to do a single thing. Not only that, every time the main character tries to do something, the plot doesn't let him. It makes him fall unconscious. Doing something is not allowed. How can you guys stand watching a guy winning all the time without doing anything?
Give me pounds.
Of course, the fanboys are not going to admit that, and they will insist there is a lot of tension. Did you see the lizard chick looking at the Bum? Oh my god, this is so thrilling. She looked at him. Bum is going to die now. What the hell? Nothing happened. Why are you making up bullshit all the time? There is nothing smart or thrilling in a single second of this bullshit.
How boring.
And why did Coon wear a ribbon that makes him look like a girl? What is this cross-dressing nonsense? There was no point in it. Is it queer baiting us?
That's cringe, bro.
Yup, it really is. A feminine boy laying on the crotch of the MC who wears a crown and doesn't have to do shit because he's the main character. He already won. This show is so smart.
He's smart.
The start of a new era of anime.
When you imagine a place called the Tower of God, what images pass through your mind? A death game? A maze full of traps? Maybe a multi-dimensional obstacle course? Is a freaking high school one of your thoughts? Because when I think of a thing called the Tower of God, a freaking high school is completely out of place. And yet here we are with a freaking high school in the Tower of God. Remember that time Goku learned Kaioken by joining a freaking high school? Even Naruto, which had a freaking high school, did not teach anything to the main character. He had to learn everything in the wilderness. And that's what these two episodes were all about. Everyone going to school so they can level up their character class as a mage or a warrior. But the Tower of God is creative because it's using different words for describing the exact same thing. They are not called character classes, they are called positions. And they are not called mages, they are called light bearers. So original. And so completely useless, since down to it, it doesn't matter what character class you are. As long as you are the strongest, nothing else matters. Which is the case with a white toast that is the main character, who for a millionth time passes every school test without trying, while everybody else exhaust themselves, break several bones of their bodies, and still do not perform as well as that white piece of toast. Which is also why later on in the webcomic, positions become irrelevant. The only positive thing that came out of this mess is the characters being given some downtime for getting to know each other. They got fleshed out by talking about themselves in the school cafeteria or the school dorms. Not the best way to do it, but better than the shit we were getting prior. And once the school training in a series called the Tower of God is over, the next thrilling test begins. What can possibly top the previous amazing challenges of passing through water, opening a door, and wearing a crown? It is tag, a children's game. Because that's what the Tower of God is, children playing games in a schoolyard with a lot of terminology that doesn't matter in the long run because the white piece of toast wins without trying. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning of a new era for anime. Watching children playing tag in a schoolyard.
The start of a new era of anime.
During these episodes, nobody could understand what the hell is going on. The anime-onlys couldn't follow the rules because they were omitted, and the webcomic readers couldn't follow the plot because the adaptation kept changing the details. As a result, you get a simple children's game that nobody liked. It takes real talent for messing something so elementary, but it's okay because it doesn't matter. The rules are always convoluted in every test and quickly become meaningless since it always comes down to who has the most broken powers. These episodes also had a lot of backstabbing to the point many were jokingly calling them Tower of Betrayal. I'm not sure what they meant by that, since there wasn't any betrayal going on in them. In order to betray someone, you first need to be a friend or a teammate. And they were neither. None of them are friends, they just call each other friends because a previous test told them to. And it's hard to call them teammates when it's a one-time thing, where you pass the test by literally making everybody else fail. It doesn't even make any sense why some of them were surprised about the not backstabbing. The very first test was literally murder each other and then befriend each other. What's so strange about having to do it the other way around? It wasn't strange when they went from murdering each other to having friendly chats in a high school cafeteria. It's almost like the show has serious tone inconsistencies and rewrites the characters in whatever way it suits the plot, because the author is incompetent and doesn't know how to give them free will. And how much can the viewer care about any of that crap when that piece of white toast that is supposed to be the main character keeps winning without even trying? I mean, holy shit. They keep hitting him with epic level energy attacks, and not only he recovers with minimal damage, he also masters said energy attacks in less than a second without any training. Yeah, I'm really worried about this guy who has no personality and never struggles, winning in a children's game where he survives nuclear explosions while everybody else around him dies by a paper cut. Mom, this show keeps me at the edge of my seat.
The start of a new era of anime.
At face value, the episode was very simple. The characters go to the funeral of their friend, and then they have a small party where they say farewell to those who didn't pass. It is so simple and straightforward, to the point it takes extra effort for fucking it up. And somehow the studio managed to do that, because 50% of the audience couldn't understand what is going on and had to be constantly asking the web readers to explain. And can you blame them? They went to the funeral of a guy who backstabbed them, and then drink with a woman who also backstabbed them. Where do those who fail walk towards with their suitcase when they were just teleported into the tower? Why do some get a second chance for passing the floor when others do not? It is impossible to understand what is going on because the director removed 50% of the explanations. Which is why everybody in the subforum hates the anime and recommends anime-onlys to drop it and read the webcomic instead. That's right, people, the show that is supposed to be the beginning of a new era of anime that will change everything is disproved by its own fans. They only made a badly adapted infomercial for promoting the webcomic. But this does not mean it's the studio's fault alone. The source material is 90% people explaining what is going on instead of showing it. You are mostly reading about the characters and the rules instead of actually seeing a damn thing. The director of the anime basically chose not to double the amount of episodes by keeping most of the talking, because he knew the viewers would be bored out of their minds. He chose to remove them for the sake of keeping them entertained with the action. If they want explanations, they can always read the source, which was the intention all along. It basically comes down to Sue, the creator of the webcomic, being completely incompetent at delivering exposition by showing things instead of saying it. And since everybody keeps saying he's a genius for keep throwing in more and more convoluted nonsense that are told instead of shown, he was giving no incentive for improving his writing. Look at him openly admitting that he made the alligator small just because he would be funnier that way and he wouldn't have to draw him. What a great in-story reason for doing it, being bored to draw your own characters, so just have them being chibi comic reliefs and fill your pages with huge speech bubbles that infodump the story instead of having to actually show a damn thing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the Tower of God is all about. Not the masterpiece everybody was yelling about. It's an amateurish harem that steals ideas from other better shows, doesn't know what to do with them, relies on 90% speech bubbles for telling the plot, has a confusing adaptation, and the fan base keeps telling you to read the webcomic. When you're better off not reading the webcomic and just watch the anime, since it sticks to the action. If you want explanations, don't read a boring webcomic. Read a fucking wiki that infodumps everything in a bullet point format, because that's what great storytelling is all about in modern times.
The start of a new era of anime.
The previous episode ended with a piece of white toast beginning the administrator test, which was hyped up to be super difficult. Everyone was expecting him to struggle for once in his life, which doesn't happen. He talks to a huge monster for a couple of seconds, and he won, without doing a thing. Totally worth the waiting. And despite being a few seconds long, it still managed to confuse the anime-onlys, because it was stated that Bam was supposed to become an administrator if he passed, only to not become one, because the translation was wrong. It's not enough that you can't follow the plot because they take out half the explanations, you get confused even in the other half because they translate them wrongfully. And this is supposed to be the show Crunchyroll was shilling as the new era of anime. Anyways, because the piece of white toast passed the not difficult test and did not become an administrator, for no sane reason now everyone has to pass another test that is much harder than the normal ones. Why the hell did they agree to this when they already passed and they were on their way to the next level? Because they don't explain it, and when they do, the translation is wrong. So the next test begins where everyone has to fight really hard for no reason. But not a piece of white toast, because he's standing inside a bubble where he's not doing a thing. Again! What the hell is wrong with this show? Half the episode is essentially wasted on either explaining the rules of the test, which do not matter, because it's all a setup for some of them to get killed, and the other half of the episode is wasted on fighting a monster that is holding back the whole time and can easily defeat them whenever it feels like it. And of course there is another cliffhanger where it seems like someone important is about to die, which of course is not going to happen, because it's all fake tension and a complete waste of time. And on top of all that, this episode was outsourced to a different studio, which means it was made by a lesser team, which should have done a sloppy job. And instead of that, they ended up having better directing and animation. What does that say about the beginning of a new era for anime, when the main director and the prime animation studio do a worse job than the guys who were supposed to fill in the blanks? This is plain horrible, and I don't see why anyone would want another season of this travesty.
The start of a new era of anime.
In this episode, the big twist everybody was spoiling non-stop since the beginning of the show was Maria betraying Jack. And if the names are wrong, it's because the translation is messed up. If seals can be called dolphins, swords can be called needles, and Cthulhu monsters can be called bulls, then the characters can be called whatever, because names don't mean anything in this show. They already changed Bam to Yoro just because. Where was I going with this? Oh yes, Susie betrayed Sam. What a non-twist that was! Aside from how everybody was spoiling it since episode 1, it was also the most obvious thing that would have happened in this video game where the only way for going up the tower is by betraying your friends. Why was it supposed to be unexpected when it has already happened by others just a couple of episodes ago? The actual twist was Helen not killing Joanna, and by twist I mean character or rewrite, because she has already betrayed and killed dozens of people she knew for years in the past just so she could have a better meal every day. She has been established to be ruthless, willing to kill hundreds of familiar faces for the pettiest of reasons, and yet she doesn't kill a single person she knows for a couple of weeks so she can save her life. Another example of how bad the writing of this anime really is. Also, another case of fake tension. Did anyone actually expect the lizard princess to die because the previous episode ended with a cliffhanger? Why would it end there if not for the sole purpose of not killing her? I mean, come on, it was obvious. And so was the convenient arrival of the Ribbon Princess. Her sole purpose of existing is for plot armoring others. Meanwhile, the piece of white toast that is the main character proves once again how broken he is by one-punching a goat, as we can clearly see it's a goat, that even elites can't deal with. He has no personality, he never struggles, and therefore we are given no reason to care about him when he gets betrayed, because we know nothing bad is going to come out of it. There is no tension, no logic, nothing to look forward to. A perfect summary of modern anime that are nothing beyond the zero-personality self-insert OP protagonists forming a harem inside video games.
The start of a new era of anime.
The last episode is just seeing the plot from Rachel's perspective, which makes you understand why she betrayed the piece of white toast and everybody hating her in the comment section as if she did something wrong. Why? She's just doing what everybody else is doing in the tower. This was the 4th betrayal in 3 episodes and nobody's complaining about the previous 3, although they were equally vile. It's almost as if they hate her because she's the main waifu in Bam's harem, and the only one who heard the empty husk of the self-insert that is the main character, and that ruined the power fantasy they were getting up to this point. The anime community has once again proven to be mature manlets.
Oh, Rachel. One of the most disgusting, vile piles of human flesh I've read in all of fiction.
That aside, the cinematography of these last episodes was terrible. Things pop in and out of existence for no reason. Anak can use healing magic all of a sudden, although it was never established that she could do it. The dolphins, which are not dolphins, are nowhere to be seen as soon as the bull, which is not a bull, appears. The wild boars that are mentioned in the briefing never appear in general. And the guy who was chewed alive by the bull, which is not a bull, he appears in the last episode completely fine, like it never happened. It's impossible to follow the plot, but nobody mentions that because they are busy hating Rachel for doing what everybody else is doing.
Fuck Rachel, I really hate her. She's such a stupid bitch, you know it, she fucking sucks.
And since that is the only thing I had to say about this episode, let's end it the way it began. Let's see how much it still follows the 8 elements of a perfect shonen. Number 1, the protagonist began as a victimized fake underdog, but by now we know he can defeat anyone without trying, and his plot armored beyond belief. There is nothing interesting about him, he's a piece of white toast, and easily the weakest in characterization character. Number 2, the setup of the story was like a coming-of-age sports story, but by now we know that all that matters is having broken powers and betraying everyone. There is no sportsmanship whatsoever. Number 3, there are dozens of peers who are training along with the protagonist, but they were all instantly surpassed by him because he instantly learns every special attack. The secondary cast became obsolete in a few episodes and they don't matter in the long run. Number 4, there was a tournament org, but the rules mean nothing since they are constantly ignored or are broken all the time. Anyone who gets some spotlight is instantly overshadowed by someone else jumping in and stealing the attention. Number 5, the pilot of the series did have something shocking, but everything that followed it didn't maintain the same tone. One moment they kill each other, the immediate next they act friendly to each other, and they are shocked for being betrayed when they were killing each other not long ago. It's plain bad writing. Number 6, constant emotional reminders of what every character aspires to do. Okay, that still counts. They all want to go to the top for various reasons, and they didn't stop mentioning them. If anything, their willingness to betray each other for achieving what they want only made their resolve more distinct, so well done there. Number 7 is the power system, which was bollocks since the pilot episode, so let's skip it immediately. Number 8, there never was a feeling of adventure and discovery. They just pass tests without ever interacting with the society they are in. Whenever something new is brought up, it's only because it's part of a test and it loses its importance as soon as the test is over. And there you have it. The show that began with 7 out of 8 elements done right is now down to 1. What a wonderful shonen that is not a shonen according to the fans.
Something about Tower of God that's very different. It's not a manga. It's made in Korea, not in Japan. So the writing style does feel different. It doesn't feel like, oh, I've seen this a million times. Like, it actually feels very, very fresh.
And now we can put this bullshit to rest and remember it only as the show that began a new era for anime by making you hate a character for doing the exact same thing everybody else is doing.
I really hate Rachel. She's such a fucking slut. Rachel, she takes it up the butt.
The start of a new era of anime.
The anime that begat the lie of a new era for anime is back with more nonsense for the average viewer to wonder how this was ever supposed to usher a new era when it's so poorly written. It starts by giving the blunt slice of white toast that is the main character a reason to continue his ascent to the tower. It basically comes down to find waifu and unravel mysteries by getting stronger, none of which happen organically because it's poorly written. Ban, this bland archetype, doesn't care about unraveling mysteries and should have lost interest in his waifu after her betrayal, but since the show somehow needs to continue with this loser as the protagonist, it wants you to think he cares about mysteries and the traitorous waifu, as well as getting stronger being the only way he can achieve the other two, because it's a poorly written story. The anime has the audacity to show you all the secondary characters of the first season sitting on a table and doing absolutely nothing. In case you somehow cared about these bland archetypes, stop doing it since you will never see them again. The brilliant writer removed them from the plot after you were supposed to be invested in them in favor of introducing more characters who are equally bland. Make sure not to care about them either, they get a similar treatment down the line, because it's a poorly written story. Then we get a time skip and now we are in the 20th level. If for some reason you thought you would get to see each and every one of them and marvel at their amazing world building, well, sucks to be you. You got duped. Exactly as you did with Sword Art Online, which is supposed to be an inspiration for Tower of God. Remember when the trailers made you think there would be several episodes for each level? You only get glimpses of a few levels and in a hurry, because it's a poorly written story. So, on this new level, we get a generic city. There is nothing special about it, and yet the show is hailed as good as One Piece when it comes to world building. Then the rules change once again, and now you have to pay money to willingly join the tests of the tower, when before that you get teleported unwillingly inside completely for free. You didn't seriously expect any consistency in the rules, did you? So, how much do the fees matter in the plot? Not in the slightest, since grown-ass men won't have the money, while 5-year-old girls will. Also, it's the 20th level and somehow 5-year-olds are still in the game, because it's a poorly written story. The protagonist is a participant and now he has a completely different personality. Instead of being a clueless blunt slice of white toast, now he's an edgy blunt slice of white toast. Hurrah! Character development that happened instantly and out of screen along with a time skip, because it's a poorly written story. So, what is the toast with legs doing in the tower this time? Honestly, not even he knows. One moment he beats up anyone he comes across, the next moment he doesn't harm anyone, then he changes his mind and beats them up anyways. No consistency whatsoever. Oh, also he's a rebel now, out to kill the king of the tower. How do you know that? Because he wears a black robe with the insignia of the rebellion. With it, anyone instantly knows he's a rebel, including the organizers of the tests of the tower who work for the king. Why do they allow the walking toast to participate and don't instantly arrest him and interrogate him? Because it's a poorly written story. Can't wait to see what the two-legged toast and the new blonde archetypes will do next in this amazing show that is considered the Korean Sword Art Online meets One Piece and ushers a new era for anime.